It's a drawing show. It's a drawing show. Welcome to the Drawing Show. My name is Ben Kent, and in a previous video, I talked about motivation and burnout, and how in some other videos we'll talk a little bit more about that. Today, I want to touch on that a little bit, but really what I want to talk about is something that I really wish that was talked to me more earlier on in my life, and that is failure. My relationship with failure has always been one of fear. I have been afraid of failure my whole life, and I think the reason why that was is because I had programmed into me from a very early age that failure is bad and it needs to be avoided at all costs. Whether or not the people who were conveying that message to me actually believed that or not, or even said that out loud to me, which I don't think necessarily was ever actually said. But I definitely internalized that. And as a result, have been trying to avoid failure and been afraid of failure in everything that I do. And it's not until you actually try something that is hard and takes some discipline and takes some practice that you begin to understand and realize that failure is part of it. And we fail every day. So there's really no reason to be afraid of failure. We need to expect it. Sometimes we even need to be encouraging it. But the real big point here is that, but we don't let that failure keep us from doing things, or that fear of failure. And this can be translated into learning a new skill in the little everyday aspects of that. So let's use drawing. If we're learning a new method, or we're learning about a certain subject, let's say perspective. We're learning how to use perspective. And we're drawing, we're using 3-point perspective. And we draw, and at the end of the drawing, we realize that we did it wrong. We wasted an entire drawing session, right? Because we failed. We failed to demonstrate correct 3-point perspective. No, that drawing session wasn't a waste. We just got out of our system. We got out of our hand and out of our minds an incorrect demonstration of 3-point perspective. Now, what does that do? If we're paying attention, then we're learning from what we did wrong, and we're better equipped for the next time that we approach it. And I would say we have a way better understanding of the subject of 3-point perspective, when we fail and we look back at it and we learn from it, than the person who does 3-point perspective, does it correctly the first time, but maybe isn't totally sure how. Like maybe they got it right, but don't exactly understand why or how they got it right. But it looks good, so they did it. But the person who fails as they're learning and understands why, I think that person is going to have a deeper understanding, more longevity in what they're doing because they feel like they've earned it more. And this is not to say that those who get the right answer off the bat and have a pretty good understanding of what's going on are doing it wrong in some way. It's not necessarily that you're supposed to fail all the time, but that when you do fail, it is not a reason to stop or give up. And this leads into the bigger, broader subject of art. And for those of us who want to be in some form of art, whether it's drawing or painting or making music or sculpting, we can't let the idea of failure stop us from creating. And what does failure look like when it comes to the bigger, broader idea of art? I think it can look like a lot of different things. And I think mainly it's based on our approach to it and what we're trying to get out of it. And when it comes to doing your own thing like that in art or anything else, some other endeavor, it is a really good idea to make goals. What you want to get out of it. And I understand that, and this has been me pretty much my whole life, and why I've never made goals before now, because it makes it real, and it makes the potential for failure even greater, in your mind anyway. Because if I make a goal, I want to sell a painting. I want to sell my first painting this year. You've created something that can very clearly and understandably fail. And that's tough. Because then instead of just having this idea in your mind, oh, it'd be really cool if I sold a painting someday, you'll never fail because you'll probably never sell a painting, and you won't feel bad about it because you didn't sell it in the timeline that you were holding because you didn't have a timeline. Rather than being brave in the fact that you might still fail. I want to sell my first painting this year, and the year is up, and I didn't sell my painting. That's okay. Then we look back, we assess, and we think about Why didn't I sell my painting? What do I do to next year actually sell a painting? So it's always looking back and assessing, not being afraid of failure. So I really want to stress this upon you guys today. Don't let the fear of failure creep into your brain. Learn to expect it, to love it, accept it, and to learn from it. So thank you for listening to my rant about failure for 11 minutes. Y'all are awesome, and I'll talk to you next time. Maybe next time it won't be so heavy. We'll talk about like how to draw an ear or something. But leave a comment. Tell me how you failed today and why it was so good. Okay, bye.